Hello and hi from Jakarta. I'm Prita Kemalgani, the President of ASEAN Public Relations Network, and I'm the Chair of Asia Pacific for Global Alliance. This month of April is for the second year Global Alliance to have Educations and Training Month. Continuing educations and training in public relations and communications are the basis for professionals to enhance and strength of our personal and communications capability. Therefore, Global Alliance once again dedicating the month of April 2021 for Global Alliance Educations and Training Month. I want to encourage all of you to join us, go global and be global this April 2021 with the Global Alliance Educations and Training Month. So we can all take benefit, learn from the speakers with various topics in Educations and Training Month. So we can learn from each other. Okay? See you till we meet again. Bye!
Salam sejahtera ASEAN PR Network dan London School of PR Jakarta. Excellent work on your global capability framework. Very interesting outcome, especially on the obstacles to developing capabilities. You highlighted financial and budgeting issues as a main concern, and the need for persuasion, a persuasion skill to convince the management on the importance of PR and communication. Wonderful research. Great sharings. Tahniah Indonesia.
My name's Fiona Cassidy. I'm the chair of the Public Relations Institute of New Zealand. I'd like to congratulate ASEAN PR Network and also LSPR for the launch of the Global Capability Framework in Indonesia. This framework is fundamental to the way we develop as professionals, and it's great to see both of these amazing organisations actually ensuring that Indonesia is at the front of PR. Congratulations again, and stay safe and well. Ka kite.
This is José Manuel Velasco, immediate past chair of the Global Alliance for Public Relations Communication Management. I congratulate the London School of Public Relations and the ASEAN PR Network on the occasion of the presentation of the Indonesian perspective of the Global Capabilities Framework. The epidemic we are facing has a global dimension, like many of the phenomena we are witnessing. Consequently, as observers of reality, communicators have to look at the global trends and also their impact on local ecosystems. We have to be global and local at the same time, and we must use our best professional skills to address the challenges of our time. Greetings from Madrid, and happy and hopefully very normal year 2021.
Good day, members of the ASEAN PR Network. This is Nisar Keshwani, Vice President of the Institute of Public Relations Singapore. On behalf of our colleagues here, we congratulate you on your Global Alliance PR framework. This COVID year has been a tough one for all of us around the world. We congratulate you on surviving and thriving, and we wish you a happy, healthy, and safe 2021. All the best.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Candy Hernandez, Managing Director of ASEAN PR Network. It is a pleasure for me to be your host for today. Welcome to ASEAN Spot. ASEAN Spot stands for Socialize, Promote, Optimize, and Transform. It is a creative networking platform with a vision of building a unified strategic ecosystem in the heart of ASEAN. The mission is to provide a sharing space for public relations professionals, communicators, entrepreneurs, creative thinkers, private and public workers alike, representing Southeast Asian countries. Today's ASEAN Spot 9 Talk series will be celebrating the grand launching of the Global Capability Framework, Indonesian Perspective. Just to give everyone a background, first and foremost, GFC is a global alliance for public relations and communication management project in partnership with the University of Huddersfield, UK, which commenced in 2016. The present study of GCF, Indonesian Perspective, started in June 2019 to August 2020, with the aim to identify and map the core capabilities and most needed Indonesian practitioners in carrying out their profession. The study was organized and conducted by research from LSPR Communication and Business Institute, Jakarta, Indonesia, headed by Dr. Rendo Dani. Last December 2020, we had our local soft launching, and today we're very happy to present the Global Capability Framework Indonesian Perspective to the region and to the world, as we are all ready to go global and be global. Moving right along, let us meet and welcome our honorable guests. First, we have our Professor Anne Gregory, Research Director of the Global Capability Project, University of Huddersfield, UK. And secondly, we have Dr. Rendo Dani, Head of Research Center and one of the lecturer at LSPR Communication and Business Institute. We also have Mr. Boy Calana Sobroto, Vice Chairman 3 of Perhumas. And of course, we have Dr. Nia Sarinastidi, Senior Lecturer at Atmajaya University. And of course, a pleasant good afternoon to all our participants from ASEAN PR Network Member Association all across the region, our LSPR management team, staff, lecturers, and of course, our students. Thank you for joining us today here at ASEAN Spot. Before we continue to the main session, I would like to invite Ibu Prita Kemalgani, MBA, MCIPR, APR, the President of ASEAN PR Network and founder and CEO of LSPR Communication and Business Institute, to give her welcome remarks. Ibu Prita Kemalgani, the screen is yours.
Hello from Jakarta and welcome to the 9th talk series of ASEAN Spot. Today is the very special ASEAN talk as we're going to launch the Global Capability Framework and Indonesian perspective. The 9th talk series in ASEAN Spot, today we will present various speakers, public relations, academicians, professional, and also from the industry. And the Global Capability Framework for Public Relations and Communication Management Professional was initiated by Professor Anne Gregory. She's from University of Huddersfield. Professor Anne Gregory was the chairperson of Chartered Institute of Public Relations in the UK, and she's also the past chair of Global Alliance. Professor Anne Gregory has written so many books in public relations, and her book was become the reference of many schools in the world and students all over the world. So, Prof. Anne encourages and empowers professionals and academicians from 9 countries and from 3 continents to do a project on Global Capability Framework. Why Global Capability Framework? And why must Global Framework? Like myself, when we learn about public relations, we learn about Western public relations. Now is the time for us to learn from each other. That's why what we talk global. Also, during the study from the 9 countries and the 3 continents, Indonesia was not included because Indonesia is part of ASEAN and ASEAN was represented by Singapore. However, the London School of Public Relations Jakarta initiated to have study on Global Capability Framework based on Indonesian perspective. So the London School of Public Relations Jakarta appointed Mr. Rendo Dani, PhD, as from the Faculty of Communications in LSPR as the head of Research Center in LSPR to do a project by forming a team in a study of global capability in public relations based on Indonesian perspective. The study includes professional, academicians, and the people from the industry about this global capability based on Indonesian perspective. The studies took 18 months to complete. It started in August 2019 and ended in October 2020. I would like to give you a brief about public relations in Indonesia. Public relations in Indonesia is growing and become very important, and public relations in Indonesia is in every line of business. In 2016, there are 96,657 professionals who written themselves as a public relations professional in LinkedIn. But in the year 2021, there are 211,000 professionals written themselves as a public relations professional in LinkedIn. So this number rapidly increased not only double but is almost triple. So this number also supported by the number of university increasing their faculty into Faculty of Communication. In Indonesia, there are 300 universities, including graduate school and institute, which offer public relations as a concentration in the Faculty of Communications. So this number is the largest in ASEAN, perhaps in Asia Pacific. Besides that, in Indonesia, we also have several public relations associations. This is also shown that public relations is very important profession in Indonesia. The first, we have Indonesia PR as Professional Associations, or we call Perhumas. The second, we also have Government Public Relations, or we call it Bakohumas, Coordinating Public Relations Agency for Community. And then we also have Public Relations Regulatory Associations, or IPRA-Humas. And we also have PR for Hotel Association. We also have Public Relations for Banking. We also have Public Relations Society of Indonesia. We also have Association of Public Relations Consultants in Indonesia. And of course, there are many more like Public Relations Society of Hospital. And this number of growing professionals in public relations in Indonesia also need to have standardized and unified in terms of working system and also framework. Therefore, global capability framework is very important for the professional in Indonesia and around the world to mastery. There are 3 pillars in global capability framework that professionals should mastery. The first one is about communications capability, and the second one is about organizational capability, and the third one is about professional capability. In each pillar, it's also some competency. Like communications capability pillars, there are around 4 competency that should be mastery. And for the organizational capability, there are 3 competency that should be mastery. And then the last, for professional capability, the third pillar, there are also 4 competency that should be mastery. Okay, beside the global capability framework, the professional should be also to have capability in this new era. So in the era of communications and this era of new normal, everything we've done has to be through technology. So a PR professional should be able or should be understand digital and become digital savvy and technology friendly. And also a PR professional, and then now everything through social media and audiovisual. And of course, a PR professional should be able to do productions on audiovisual, including photography, design, graphics, editing, and also sounds and musics. And also, public relations professional should be an expert in a social media, because social media is become a media now, and a PR person should be the producer of the news for the company and also for the project. The social media expert also need to understand about data analytics, about SEO, about AR, and also about AI. And of course, a PR professional should be able to mastery either writing skill or speaking skill. And a PR professional in this new era should have a competency in management skill and as well and the leadership skill. Leadership skill is very important for us to be able to persuade people to work together with us harmoniously and also to do the best of us. So in the company, people in public relations department should be able to maintain a good internal communications and as well external communications. And a PR person should be able to have an entrepreneurial skill. Entrepreneurial skill is very important nowadays in a company. So will make the company is always growing with all the innovative and creativity designed by a PR person and the team. And also a PR person should be able to mastery or have a knowledge in marketing and advertising. So the company will be more competitive. And at least a PR person should learn and have knowledge in finance and accounting. This is very important to read and to understand balance sheets and earning per share. And especially the company is a listed company or about to be in the IPO. And then the last one, a public relations professional should understand and have knowledge about law and the legal system. This is very important. When the crisis coming to the company, a PR person should understand the law and the legal system, especially when it's come to libel, defamation, scandal, plagiarisms, and many other things that we try to avoid happening in our company. I think this is our all, and again, you will learn a lot today from the speaker who are expert in their field and will be led by Mr. Rendrodani, PhD, as the head of research center of the London School of Public Relations, Jakarta, and as well also you will meet Dr. Nia Sarinastiti, and she's the senior lecturers of Atmajaya University, and also Mr. Boy Kelana Subroto, and he's the vice chairman of Perhumas of PR Association's board of director. I think this is all, and wish you all have an enjoyable discussion. Thank you very much until we meet again. Bye.
Thank you very much, Ibu Prita, for that very insightful presentation and welcoming speech. Moving on to the next session, let us hear from our keynote speaker, Professor Anne Gregory, the Research Director, Global Capabilities Project, University of Huddersfield, UK. Without any further ado, please welcome Professor Anne Gregory. The screen is yours.
Thank you so much for inviting me to be with you on this very special day, and greetings to Indonesia and all colleagues from the ASEAN nation. It's my privilege to be with you today. And so good to celebrate the launch of the Indonesian Capability Project and to celebrate this milestone, not just for the global community, but for the whole of the ASEAN nations in the world, because Indonesia is actually setting a benchmark today for all of you to follow. So what I'd like to do first of all is just give you a quick description of what a capability is and what a competency is, because I think there's some confusion over that. So first of all, capability is a broad statement of what public relations professionals should be able to do at their best. So with no barriers and on their best possible day, being their best possible selves, what are they capable of contributing? Now, underneath capabilities are competencies, and Ibu Prita mentioned some of those. So, for example, they're normally knowledge and skills. So skills on how to do SEO, for example, are really important. Writing skills, crucially important. And also she mentioned areas of knowledge. So knowledge of law and legal processes, knowledge of marketing, these are all crucial for underpinning capability. But the 11 capabilities that were defined in the Global Capability Project scope the whole of our profession in the smallest number of phrases and terms that can be designed in order to cover the whole of our profession. And I'm really excited that right at the beginning of this project, we were able to work with just 9 nations to design the original capability project. And all of them did exactly what's happened in Indonesia today. They undertook a detailed country study in cooperation with their professional associations like PERHUMAS and the Asian PR Network, the ASEAN PR Network, in order to be able to understand the needs of practitioners, of employers, and of academics in order to come together with 9 frameworks, which we then examined in great detail. And we didn't just pick those things that were in common from each of the 9 frameworks to provide the global capability framework. We had a 2-day discussion involving practitioners and academics who had worked around the world, not just in their own countries. But for example, one of our lead researchers was Professor Katerina Tetsura, who works in America, but actually comes from Russia and knows the Eastern European nations well. We worked with Dr. Marianne Saison, who did the Australian study, but she actually comes from the Philippines in ASEAN. So within that group of researchers, a broad range of knowledge, of practice around the world to bring together the first global capability framework. And we tested that around the world, including at the Global Alliance Board, which represents, as you've seen, nations from all around the world. And Ibu Prita is actually sitting on the board of the Global Alliance. And it was agreed that this original framework was representative, broadly representative of the capabilities that were the benchmark for practice around the world. But this initial study was always that, an initial study. We were perfectly aware that only Singapore had been included in, as the ASEAN nation in the original 9. ASEAN is a big place. And we've wanted for many years to include a broader perspective of what was going on in the ASEAN nations. And we're delighted that Indonesia is the first country, the trailblazer, outside those original 9 nations to enrich not only the global capability framework itself, but to do a study for itself, to do a study for Indonesia. 250 million people in Indonesia, 200,000 practitioners, all with a particular context to operate in. So it's crucially important that each country in the region is able to have its own country study, which not only enriches the global framework, and we do future iterations of that, but provides a benchmark within the country. Because I know your plan is to share that with academic institutions, to share it with the government, to maybe use it as a standard in education as well. And Malaysia is not far behind you. There's work going on in Malaysia right now to undertake a benchmark study in Malaysia, and we hope that other countries will come along too. So we need to ensure that in future, any second and third global capability framework fully represents ASEAN nations, and we need those perspectives. So delighted that Indonesia is the first country in the ASEAN region to undertake this, but it's not going to be the last, and that's for sure and certain. So congratulations to Dr. Dani and his team. I know that you worked under difficult circumstances during the COVID crisis. We're really grateful to you. The whole world is grateful to you for the work that you've done and the perseverance that you've shown. And what I'd like to do now is just to briefly compare and congratulate you on the work that you've done. First of all, by comparing it with the original global capability study, where there were 11 capabilities. Not every country has 11 capabilities. Some have more, some have less. You have 10 capabilities in Indonesia. And I know that of those capabilities, a number, as you would expect, are very, very similar to the one in the original study. So, for example, the strategic planning of communication. I think we would be very surprised if that wasn't there in every capability. Building trust for our organizations and individually. So we as professionals are trustworthy, we have professional credibility. And this is crucially important in the world in which we live now, in which trust seems to be just disappearing. Trust in institutions, trust in organizations is very precious. So building trust is a crucial capability. And then effective communication across all platforms and communication channels. Again, Ibu Kruta mentioned social media. And we know during this crisis that certain platforms have become increasingly important. And the fact that the capability framework broad enough to embrace all developments across all platforms is a good sign, and indeed was represented in the Indonesian capability study quite right. One or two differences as well, which is why we need these country studies. So, for example, there are differences in emphasis, but in Indonesia, issues and crisis management was brought out as a main capability, whereas in the global one, it's a sub-capability. And issues and crisis this last 18 months has characterized our work, hasn't it? And it's increasingly important. And I wouldn't be surprised in the second iteration if issues and crisis management wasn't there as a main capability. Another difference was that Indonesia brought out organizational culture. And that, again, is crucially important. We work in different organizations where the culture of that organization may be quite unique, often is unique. And to actually work within that culture and to help shape that culture so that it represents its organizational purpose is crucially important and is brought out in the Indonesian framework. And finally, I just point to one other difference, which again is interesting and in the Indonesian context, absolutely right. Interpersonal skills are regarded as crucially important again in the Indonesian framework. And I know from spending time with you and other colleagues in the beautiful country of Indonesia and in surrounding nations, that face-to-face, that interpersonal contact and being able to see somebody's face and build interpersonal trust is so important in your culture. So to see that highlighted is not a surprise, and it's really important that it's brought out as a unique capability within the culture of ASEAN nations. There's one capability that we both hold precious within the global framework and within the Indonesian framework, and I think is a fantastic and unique characteristic of those who take their professional development and their professional responsibilities seriously. So in Indonesia, in the global framework, and I know in frameworks that are coming through from Malaysia and in other countries, for example, in Dubai, where there's a framework being developed at the moment, working within an ethical framework is seen as a benchmark for being a professional. This is the Global Alliance's Ethics Month, and I think it's only appropriate that we celebrate the fact that professionals take their ethical responsibilities as absolutely fundamental and core to their work. So I want to congratulate the Indonesian team and Dr. Dani and his team for their hard work. We've got something really precious here. This is something that Indonesia can use. The academic community, employers can benchmark their recruits against this framework. Individuals can use it for their professional development, And this is special for Indonesia and for the Indonesian context. And I'm so thrilled, as is the whole world public relations community, to be able to celebrate this launch today. You've come up with a piece of work that is of incredible standard. As a research director, I would say that it has massive academic integrity. It's also got practical use. And I think today is a day when Indonesia can be really proud as the largest nation in the ASEAN area that's produced its own capability framework. So thank you again. Massive congratulations. The world and the region owes a debt to you. And I'm so pleased to be a part of this celebration today. Thank you.
Very much, Prof. Anne. As usual, you always brought new insight from the current research. As we move forward to the event, let me call in Dr. Rudy Sukandar, Director of LSPR Center for Research, Publication, and Community Service. Dr. Rudy, the screen is yours.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon, everyone. I hope everyone is in a healthy condition during the still pandemic time. First of all, I would like to congratulate the LSPR research team who has successfully produced the Global Capability Network from Indonesian perspective. This framework is expected to illustrate the unique views of Indonesians working in and studying in a public relation field. In this opportunity, I would like to thank LSPR research team, Dr. Endro Dani as the team leader, and Juliana, Miss Yunita, Miss Rifka Afrianti, and Lamria Fitriani as the members of the team. And the team was also supported by LSPR staff members such as Miss Alfilonia Arwindra, Miss Rizky, who has provided supports in terms of with the respondent, and also Mr. Budiarto. Thank you very much. I also would like to express my gratitude to our speakers today, Ibu Prita Kamalgani, Professor Anne Gregory, Dr. Nia Stiti, and Mr. Boy Falana Subroto. Thank you. And then also would like to thank Miss Candy Hernandez for today, and Miss as our discussion moderator this afternoon. So I think I would like to also thank APRN for these opportunities. Hopefully, there's going to be other talk series discussing more about our issues. So thank you very much and productive discussion.
Much, Dr. Rudy. Thank you so much. Now, let's all enter to the main session for this afternoon. Let me introduce first our beautiful moderator, Ms. Sophia Bernadette, also known as Ms. Detti, is a practitioner for more than 10 years in hospitality industry. She is teaching Introduction to Public Relations, Role of Public Relations and Publicity, Writing for Publications, Administration and Public Relations program for students in semester 1 to semester 6, as well as the thesis advisor for public relations students on semester 8 at LSPR Communication and Business Institute. Ms. Detti is also the Director of Training and Development at ASEAN PR Network. Ms. Detti, I have to hand over to you our virtual stage. The screen is yours.
Thank you, Ms. Candy. The Honorable Ibu Prita Kamalgani, MBA, MCIPR, APR, Professor Anne Gregory, Dr. Rudy Sukandar, our honorable speakers today, Mr. Rendro Dani, PhD, Mr. Boy Kelana Subroto, and Dr. Nia Sarinastiti, MA. I would also like to welcome our distinguished researcher, and congratulate them for the remarkable effort until this research had finished and completed. Mrs. Juliana Prasetyawati, MM, Ms. Yunita Permatasari, MSI, Mrs. Rizka Afrianti, MSI, and Ms. Lamria Fitriani, MSI. Our distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, the management and staff of LSPR Communication and Business Institute, and also our dear colleagues and friends from Indonesia and ASEAN. Good afternoon, everyone. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Salam sejahtera, salam sehat. Welcome to ASEAN Spot 9 Talk Series, the grand launching of Global Capabilities Framework Indonesia Perspective. My name is Sophia Bernadette, and I will be your guide to this panel session. I'm so delighted to see all of you here eager to engage with this particular issue that has already mentioned earlier by Ibu Prita Kemalgani, Professor Anne Gregory, and also Dr. Rudi Sukandar. As you know that today all companies, organizations, institutions are operate and market their products and services globally. They need to be sensitive to the differences among nations and regions. That is why having a strong international public relations strategy will help organizations to understand and overcome the differences. Our speakers today will enlighten us with their presentation on how the Global Capabilities Framework from Indonesia perspective is as the benchmark for how the professionals and educators in public relations and communications management in Indonesia perform at their best. Before the presentation begins, allow me to introduce our first speaker, Mr. Rendro Dani, PhD. He is a lecturer and head of Research Center LSPR Communication and Business Institute. He owns the bachelor degree at Hasanuddin University in 1996, master degree at the University of Indonesia in 2002, and got his doctoral degree from Murdoch University, Perth, Western Australia in 2019. He passionately focused in research area of political public relations, government public relations, presidential communication, political communication, mass communication, and many more. Currently, he teaches several subjects, such as Intro to Mass Communication, Intro to Communication Science, Scientific Writing Methods, and Communication Theory, Political Communication, Seminar and Colloquium, both in undergraduate program and also postgraduate program. Without further ado, I would like to welcome Mr. Rendro Dani to deliver the presentation. Pak Rendro, the screen is yours.
Thank you very much, Miss Sophia, Mbak Deti. Langsung aja nih ya. Oke, I would like to share my please, could somebody spend my presentation? Okay. Okay, yeah, thank you very much. Okay. Bismillah. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good afternoon, everyone. Ibu Prita, Profesor Anne Gregory, Pak Boy Kelana Subroto, Dr. Nia Sarinastiti, Dr. Rudi Sukandar, my teammate, Miss Juliana Prasatyawati, Miss Yunita, Miss Rizka Afrianti, and Miss Lamria. All lecturers and students, ladies and gentlemen, welcome. And thank you for coming to our grand launching event today, which is called Global Capability Framework for Public Relations and Communication Management, Indonesian Perspective. Yes, I'm very happy to meet you all today. Yeah, my name is Rendro Dani. I'm a staff lecturer at London School of Public Relations. And I also the head of this research team. This research is fully supported by Ibu Prita Kemalgani, President of APRN and founder and CEO of LSPR Communication and Business Institute. Today, on behalf of my research team, please allow me to present my 2-year study on the PR capabilities most needed in Indonesia. And I will try to demonstrate the significant values, benefits, for those working in the field of public relations. So hopefully the finding of this study can help the practitioners, academicians, and employers, of course, to deal with the main challenge they face in their organization. Okay, next slide, please. Hello. Yeah. First of all, we would like to thank all those who have been involved and have supported us, especially Perhumas, APPRI, Global Alliance, University of Huddersfield from UK, and of course, all participants that have been spending their valuable time and sharing their knowledge in this research. We especially really appreciate for Perhumas organization, the biggest PR organization in the country, for the willingness of some senior members, officials in the data collection process at all stages, all stages, because we did this in 3 steps, in 3 stages. Today's presentation, I will try to convey only the most important things of this research, because related to, for example, research methods can be read in detail by yourself, because you can download really the full report from this link. Yeah, there are 2 versions we already prepared. In the left hand side, this is English version. There is a link here. I don't know if you already received this, because this is just upload. Both of them is just upload yesterday. Last time we only provided the English version, and today in the grand launching we also provided in Indonesia, so you can read in details all about this research. So this is my teammate, supported by Ibu Diana, Ibu Dinita, Ibu Rizka, dan Maria. Next, please. Hello. Today I have only, if I'm not mistaken, 15 minutes or 20 minutes. So maybe you can make it fast in the first, the first 20 is about this project overview, and you can read this research about the competency and capabilities. Next, please. Yeah, this is the research design. We have to do this research in 3 steps, 3 stages: Delphi methods, interview, focus group discussion. We eliminate the survey because we only have a very small number of respondents. So we try to increase the participant in the focus group discussion. So we try to answer these 3 research questions. There is 3 research questions here, and this is there a set of you can read it. This research is started from May, actually, because we appointed by Ibu Prita since March, but we have to learn about some literature review. We collect data and we have to understand, because this is very new for us to to study this research. So first we did the Delphi methods. We succeed to have 20 participants comprising of experts, PR experts, and practitioners to get the opinion from them. What is the most important capabilities that must have by practitioner in the future, now and the future? So we collect the Delphi data from the Delphi methods in 3 steps. First, we have 20 participants. Also in the second round, we also have 20, and the third round we have only 18. So this is the result from the round 1. So actually we divided provided 3 boxes from our form that we spread to the participant to fill in, and we divided in the 3 context of capabilities. First is the strategic communication capabilities category. So we ask the participant to feel what they think about the most important strategic communication capabilities in their opinions. So I think that's the good strategy to divide it 3 different category. Next, please. Because if we only ask one question about what do you think about the most important capabilities for PR, that maybe they will think, wow, it's a very limited number. Yeah. So next, please. So the second box is we ask what is the operational communication capabilities that you think the most relevant. Yeah. And the last one is the generic professional capabilities. So we have so many answers from those 20 participants, so many, yeah. And we try to simplify matching each other, and we gather it to become next, please, 20. 24, 28, and then we select again and get the answer from the participant in the second round, become 18 capabilities. These are, yeah, and we send again to the participant to ask them, to rate them, what is the most important according to this list, and we succeed to found 10 capabilities from the final step of Delphi method. So here we are. There are 10 capabilities that we found from the participant, and then we also did the in-depth interview. Only for the very senior for these participants, we actually asked for another informant, but we only have 3 informant. All of them is from Perhumas, basically, yeah. But Heri Rahmadi is now is deputy chairperson of Perhumas. And then Ibu Prita Kemal Gani is a former chairperson of Perhumas, yeah. And then we also interview Pak Muslim Basa, is a senior PR practitioner and also former chairperson of Perhumas. Okay, and then in the last stage, we basically before we did the focus group discussion, we sent an online survey, but we, as I mentioned before, we only have 32 respondents. So I think I asked to Prof. N, what about this data? We only have a very limited. Can I use it? And then Prof. N said that I think it's too small, and you can change it to increase it in the FGD group focus group discussion. We initially planned only 3 focus group discussion, but because we failed to get a proportional respondent, then we Prof. N said you have to collect at least 7 FGD. So we try to call as many as possible from our networking, and we have 38 participants. So we divided into 7 FGD, and it is come from 8 cities and 7 provinces around the country. Jakarta is the most, because Jakarta is the capital city. Okay, next, please. So let's focus on the top 10 capabilities that we have. Let's focus first on the top 3 capabilities. As you can see on the left-hand side, the most important capabilities that receives many support from the participant, both on the Delphi and the FGD, is to build organizational, personal credibility and trustworthiness. And then we try to match this capability by provide some sub capabilities, which is also emerge from the FGD, such as you can see that to build organizational and personal credibility and trustworthiness, you have to, or you develop, maintain trust among stakeholders, you develop and maintain organizational, personal good reputation, and you listen and respond to stakeholder needs. That is the sub capabilities to reach the capabilities number 1. Number 2, to manage issue and handling crisis management and communication, you have to, and the sub capabilities is you have to critical and analytical thinking. You have to you develop, maintain, and rehearse crisis communication plan, and you build effective teams to handle crisis. And the top 3, the number 3, is to understand and able to work within ethical framework. To reach these capabilities, you have to engage with and demonstrate empathy to stakeholder. You speak honestly and in timely manner with apa ini nggak kelihatan, sebentar saya lihat, timely manner with stakeholder, and you maintain ethical behavior and apply ethical principles in the workplace and in daily PR activities. The next slide is the next 3 capabilities. So I divided this slide into 3. There is number 4, number 5, number 6. Yeah. So this is the capabilities, the most capabilities that we have from our research, and also we match it completed with sub capabilities that is related to the each capabilities. So next, please. In the last 4 capabilities, there are another 4, the last one, to have effective interpersonal communication skills. Number 8 is to build, implement, and manage public relations strategies and plans. Number 9, to be effective advocates for the organization. And number 10, to have effective communication by harnessing various media platform and technology. So that is the top 10 capabilities most needed by PR practitioner based on the opinion of all participants from 3 stages of our research. There is also 28 sub-capabilities that is need to be mentioned here, which is related to reach the to master your capabilities. Okay, next, please. So this is the what the global capability framework that been summarized by Professor N that we have. There are 11 global capability that I think is derived from 9 countries that have done their research in the first wave, in the first stage of these global capabilities. So then, yeah, next please. And this is also each country. What is capabilities resulted from each country? There are 9 countries here, and then I add the last one in this in the red dot here, Indonesia. As you can see, they are all related. They are matched. Yeah, any capabilities that we have from our research is completely almost same. Yeah, almost matched with the result from other countries. So next, please. And this is key capabilities from global versus Indonesian perspective. If we combine our research between Indonesian perspective and global framework, as you can see, all of our results, Indonesian perspective, is also matched with the global capabilities. But the rank, the level, the importance of these the capabilities is different a little bit. Yeah. For example, in this point F in that global framework, we can see that to build and enhance organizational reputation, they are put it on the F, while our result is the number one. Number one is, as you can see, number one, as you can see before, we have the number one, to build organizational, personal credibility and trustworthiness. This is the same exactly with the global, more or less, yeah, as global framework. Next, please. Yeah, so based on our research, we conclude that on the overall, our research corroborated the conclusion reached by 9 countries, which have suggested, yeah. Number one, research question: is there a shared set of PR capabilities that define the profession globally? Yes, the conclusion, we support the result of the global capability framework that there is a widely shared set of public relation and communication capabilities that help define the profession globally. We reached the same. We supported the conclusion of the research before the first wave. Number two, research question number 2, what, if any, are the variation by regions, culture, and by stakeholder groups? Yes, yeah, we also have the same conclusion. There are minor but significant variations between countries' capability set, particularly concerning the social role of public relations and in the use of terminology. Last one, research question number 3, how can such a frameworks be of practical value for professional development at individual, national, regional, and global level? we reach conclusion that the research project has produced a piece of work which offer new direction for defining and understanding the public relations and communication management profession, and a valuable way forward for other profession to follow. The framework will be value to practitioner for years to come. Okay, next please. So after this study, what we may ask, what is the benefit that we can have? What is the application that we implemented? For example, for individual practitioner, for example, for employers, and for educator, and for educator. First, let's see, for individual practitioner, this framework is intended to assist individuals, practitioner assess their own performance in the capabilities they deem important, to enable them to set goals and to provide them with access to resources, for example, training, reading, webinar, etc., which will enhance performance in selected capabilities. And then what is the benefit for employers? The result of this research will be benefit for a group of individuals, for employers that can be collected using the software. We don't have it now. I don't know. In the UK, they already make a software that can illustrate the distribution of capability, strengths across a team, department, or workforce. A gap analysis of capabilities that are regarded as important can be undertaken, and individual and group goals can be established and monitored. So we can monitor all the organizational employee. Next, please. The last one. This is for all of us, the educators, lecturers. What is the result of this research benefit for us? The framework can be used as a tool for curriculum review and approval. As you can see, many of the capabilities or some of the capabilities and sub-capabilities is emerged from our FGD, and we need to pay attention for that because some of them is not included in our curriculum. So we need to review, maybe add more to give to our student. Academic and professional courses can map their content against, not yet, please. Not yet. Hello, to enhance particular, they also design content to enhance particular capabilities, such as addressing gap between future important and current performance of capability. All right, and the last one, I think Ibu Prita Kemalgani from our interview can be the final conclusion that, as I quote her, all related parties can take advantage of the results of this research by knowing what academic have or have not taught their students at their respective educational institution, so that later they will comply with national and international standards. That is the objective of the research. Moreover, it is also fruitful for employers to know what capabilities their PR practitioners should have and need to improve, whether they work in government organization or the corporate companies. That is very, the right same with our conclusion, yeah, from Ibu Prita Kemalgani. Okay, that's it. That's all for my presentation. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you, Parendra. It's a very interesting and very informative presentation. Okay, we will have the Q&A session after all the presenter already giving their presentations. So we will move to the second presenter. That will be Ibu Dr. Nia Sarinastiti. I will read some of her biography, a very quick one. So Ibu Dr. Nia Sarinastiti MA is an associate professor at the School of Communication at Majaya Catholic University. She's a lead for Accenture Development Partnership Lead. And also, Ibu Nia has close to the 30 years of industry experience, communication, organizational, corporate and marketing communication, community relations, stakeholders engagement, good governance, and sustainability. And now she sits on the executive board member of various organizations like Indonesia Business Coalitions for Women Empowerment, the Indonesia Services Dialogue, and the Indonesia Business Links. Ibu Nia, the screen is yours.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you, Sophia, for the opportunity that's provided to me. Nice to meet you again, Anne. It's been a while since, I guess, a year since we met. And thank you, Mas Rendra, for the introduction to the topic that we have today on the Global Capability Framework. My presentation is quite simple today, only 5 slides, but I would like to have a discussion later on in regards to the perspective as an educator in this regards. Okay, can I have the presentation up, please? So I'm putting myself as the Indonesian education perspective. And interestingly, I did research together with Ibu Doreen a few years ago in regards to this topic. And I would like to just bring it up a bit to be able to have the overall context of where we are looking at. So as well, I'd like to say thank you for providing me this opportunity, because I believe I was part of one of the FGDs of the so many, and I'm privileged to be able to provide this context to you. Okay, next, please. So in the research that Dr. Doreen and I did, and actually this was presented in the Journal of Perhumas, Journal Humas Indonesia a few years ago. We talked about the mosaic, competence mosaic that is needed in the communication industry, and also reciting to different scholars, including Eker and Daniel, as well as Pak Temaluru. We have a few of this contexts. So basically, when the industry wants to hire, what are the requirements for work? There are 4 aspects that we look into. It's the knowledge. Knowledge is what is known by the individual. It can be formal, it can be informal, and usually it would increase over time. I mean, we're not expecting that everybody would have the same knowledge over the years that they have worked, for example, or as they have. I mean, it's not like if you graduate even for high school that your knowledge is only a stop at high school. There are various knowledge that you can obtain during your years of life, right? And then, of course, the skills. So the skills are what the individual knows what to do. So Anne has actually mentioned a bit about this, but looking, next slide, please. But looking at what are the skills demand, we look at 3 different aspects. And this is sourced from Orup. And there are 3 things, which is technical skills. And this is something that you may need to have at the start of your career. And of course, it does not guarantee promotion, because it's your basic standard technical skills. And over time, again, it needs to be developed, like simple stuff, technical skills of writing. You may used to do the 5W1H, but now you also need to do feature. You need to be able to do a specific presentation of a person, like a role model, or the corporate we say the corporate hero, something like that. And then the relating skills. And this is needed during a career or a professional development, because as you want to progress, you would need that related skills. And this supports the promotion that you have within your career time, right? And related skills provides the opportunity to gain that greater responsibility, because you don't want to be doing technical skills like just distributing press releases over the years. You will be able to now develop more contextual and more targeted communication writing, for example. And the next one is conceptual skills. And this skills is something that you need to think about for the future. It needs to be something that how do you want to enhance yourself, and understanding the bigger context of beyond the company or the organization that you work for. So looking at more aspect at policy, looking at more aspect on how you can be involved in more of multi-stakeholder activities. So those are skills. Thanks. The next one is capability. This is something that we're talking about, and it is the capacity of the person and the ability of that person to do or to learn something more. That's not knowledge, but it's doing the work, like strategic thinking. That's part of capability. Previously, you only do the work, but you're not strategically thinking about it. So the capability comes into that phase. And the next one is personality. So personality is the essential soft skills to be able to manage stakeholder relationship, and of course managing yourself, because now in the era of digital, in the era of social media, how do you actually portray yourself within the public sphere? So that is something that, well, social media is mine, but does it really relate to what you do, and how do you want to persona yourself? So that is quite important in that aspect. So those are the 4 requirements to work that is based on the research that we have done, and I'm pretty sure it fits very well with the capability framework that we have today. Next, please. So aligning to global capability framework. Next, can you please press, okay. So as an educator, what can we actually ensure? This is looking at, I'm trying to analyze it in a way that can we break down where the educators can provide the growth of that capability for our students. So the educators can ensure the understanding and ability to work within an ethical framework. That is quite important. If not, if we don't start early on understanding the ethics of work, then we have a lot of people going into KPK, right? So being able to diminish that would be a great gain for our profession. And of course, understanding contemporary public relations, understanding what has happened in the past and make it relevant to today's world is essential to the things that we do, to the decisions that we make strategically. And the educators can, of course, build and implement managing public relations strategies and plans. And this can be, at the end, is the final thesis of a student. But in the classes, they can actually also be able to relate and manage case studies in the classes. So it's not just about theoretical aspect, but having, for example, industry experts coming into class, providing what has they implemented, and then connect that to that conceptual thinking of how a student should think, want to be working in the future. And the next one is having effective interpersonal and public communication skills. And this also includes in activities like what we have competitions and working together with like the Perhumas Muda, right? So being there, building that as a student is not just focusing on the studies, but in that developing the engagement or the network from a younger age will provide a better framework for them to be able to be more successful in their career. And the next one is the industry to nurture. So the global capability framework is something that the educators needs to ensure it happens, but the nurturing needs to come from the industry itself. So building organizational personal credibility, having effective communication, harnessing various media platforms, identifying, analyzing problems to develop that strategic solutions, going back to that more of the contextual and conceptual skills. And then, of course, managing issues. So if you have the basic in where the educators can ensure, it will be a lot easier for the industry to nurture. And of course, it also needs to have, next one, please. It's also need the help of the industry to have that person understanding and have that ownership of being part of the organization and understanding the organization culture and be able to advocate the organization itself. So the educators cannot do the last two because the basic requirements are from the educators, not, and the industry to nurture is from the industry. So basically, all of this is since I am also involved in Perhumas, and we do have an accreditation program. And then I am also involved in ASPICOM, the Association for the Educators in Communication, as well as the Ministry of Communication and Informatics, SKKNI, which is now, which the 2016 they have one. Now we're preparing a new one for the 2021 version. So hopefully what has been launched today on this global capability framework, Indonesia version, will be relevant to how we will be able to restructure the SKKNI in Indonesia. That's it from my side. Thank you very much for the opportunity. I look forward to our discussion.
All right, thank you, Dr. Nia. We will have the discussion after this. So let me remind all the participants here, please drop your questions on the Dropbox chat box, and then we will have the discussion afterwards. Okay, so we move to the third speakers for today. That is Bapak Bapak Boy Kelana Subroto. Yeah. Pak Boy Kelana Subroto is a multi-talented Bachelor of Law with many hobbies on the side. Well, we have to know what kind of many hobbies nih, Pak Boy, yeah. And where the entire career is about being immersed into the world of communication. Start the career as a radio broadcaster, then Pak Boy continued to build experience by joining a couple of main agencies, such as Bay, Publicis, and DBD, as the group accountant director. Enter the corporate life as a manager head of internal relations, corporate communications at Astra, determined to strengthen their corporate values across the group and make an impact in the world of brand communication. Now, with a bigger task, the role of Pak Boy is as a general manager head of corporate communication at Astra. On weekends, Pak Boy spent the time as a program facilitator at Talk In Consulting Corporation, specifically on public speaking classes. And also, he is active in the Indonesian Public Relations Associations, Perhumas Indonesia, and now as the Vice Chairman of the Central Board Management. Beside the good-looking, Pak Boy also received many recognitions of his achievement in PR field from many reputable institutions. I'm very pleased to welcoming him here with us. Pak Boy Kelana, the screen is yours.
Yes, thank you, Ibu Deti, for the overwhelmed introduction. Good afternoon, Professor Anne Gregory, Ibu Prita Kemalgani, Pak Rudi Sukandar, Pak Rendro Dani, my dear friend Dr. Nia Sarinastiti, and of course, all participants that have joined us today, especially those from overseas. Warm greetings from Indonesia. I hope my voice is clear, Ibu Deti. Okay, that's cool. Yes, it's an honor for me to represent Perhumas and meet each and every one of you virtually during this challenging time on today's ASEAN Spot Talk series for the grand launching of the Global Capability Framework Indonesia Perspective. The chairman of Perhumas, Pak Agung Laksamana, sends his warmest regards to you all as he could not attend today's session. And on this occasion, I would like to congratulate Ibu Prita, Pak Rendro, and the team for having the Global Capability Framework Indonesia perspective for the public relations and communications management profession. And I'm sure this would be beneficial to all PR and communications practitioners in Indonesia. Okay, do I have somebody to share the slides, my slides? Yes. So today I will be sharing a perspective from Perhumas, the PR Association in Indonesia regarding the Global Capability Framework. And next slide. Before the pandemic times, we have been engaged with the disruption era. I still remember during those times that we were challenged with various issues, including the 4.0 era. And today, the world has changed that forces us, PR and communications practitioners, to adapt with the situation and create innovations during this difficult time. Just last year, COVID-19 entered Indonesia, including other parts of the world, I'm sure. And it has created not only health crisis, but it has also impacted the economy and society more widely. It is in this context that we should adapt ourselves with the situation to help PR and communications professionals navigate this new situation with the necessary knowledge, skills, and tools to strategically manage key intangible assets, demonstrating how their role as PR and communications professionals contributes to their organization. Next slide. The rapid growth of PR industry in Indonesia was also in line with the advancement of new communication and information technology. PR practitioners must continue to learn and improve their capabilities so that they can adapt to the new environments where the news media, journalists, media landscape, society are all changing rapidly. They must understand exactly what their position is. Secondly, they must know the scope of their activities and what they have to do. In short, PR practitioners should be able to map anything within their internal and external environment. Just to reiterate Ibu Prita in the report, that not less than 35,000 communication professionals who work in the corporate sector today, ranging from junior, middle to senior PR, and this figure does not include practitioners who work in private institutions, NGOs, and government agencies at the central and regional levels. Perhaps they don't work directly as PR officers, but they do public relations work. Perhumas currently have more than 1,000 members across Indonesia. Not to forget, aside from that, there are various PR associations for specific PR profession in Indonesia, which was mentioned by Ibu Prita earlier today. For instance, PR company association called APRI, government PR under the Ministry of Communication and Information called Bakuhumas, and PR for hotel association called H3, for instance, and many more. You could imagine if we could gather and improve the professional of all PR and communication practitioners in Indonesia. Next slide, I would like to take you all through an industry perspective. An example that I would like to share is Astra, as it is one of the largest company in Indonesia that has a diversified lines of businesses from automotive, financial services to heavy equipment mining, construction and energy, agribusiness, and then from infrastructural, toll roads, port, logistics, to information technology, document solution, and property. And not to forget the 9 different Astra foundations. With more than 187,000 employees from 238 companies over the last 3 years, Astra managed to have a communication management system whereby conduct internal assessment to the companies and certification to the PR and communication personnel in the group. Currently, there are a total of 133 PR and communications practitioners in Astra. And the management system regulates standards, activities, competencies, and measurements of the Astra Group corporate communication function. And these are the 8 pillars of PR competencies in Astra. And having said that, the industry requires these competencies As you can see, the competencies includes internal landscape, business landscape, corporate communication skill, corporate communication strategic, internal communications, external communications, media, and digital communication. So this is a figure of the industry. Next slide. Therefore, all PR students as future public relations practitioners should have a good understanding of PR. They must really know what the concept of public relation is, what the constraints of public relations work are, and where the position of public relations is in marketing and other types of contexts of communications as a basis for enhancing other public relations capabilities. Now, this slide shows elements of how the curriculum in schools should adapt. Aside from business management, creative solution, digital, and advertising, we should also include the must-haves. As you can see there, there's a lot of elements there. Moving on to the next slides, this is the capability and sub-capability points that have been presented by Parendro, which needs to be addressed by all of us, PR and communication practitioners. Some of the capabilities have already incorporated in programs for accreditation and certification. For example, in the context of crisis management and strategic solution. Yes, but again, we will look again for all of our program for accreditation and certification to be aligned with the results of the Global Capability Framework Indonesia perspective. So moving on to the next slide, our next step is to review our accreditation and certification program in order to be aligned with the Global Capability Framework Indonesia perspective. And I think this is my last slide. Again, I would like to congratulate the launch of the Global Capability Framework Indonesia perspective for the public relations and communications management profession. And now I will return to the screen to Ibu Deti. Thank you once again.
Thank you, Pak Boy. It's a very, very interesting and informative presentations. So we already have some questions here from the audience. For me, I already see 3 questions actually. The first one, it addressed to Pak Rendro. Pak Rendro, do you have the global standards or any standards to be used for the 3 capabilities? Communication, organization, professionals. Is there any global standard for or any standard to be used for the 3 capabilities? Unmute, Parendro.
Okay, thank you very much for the question. And as you can see, back to my presentation that we already provided as in the page 21. We have 3. I've already mentioned the top 3 capabilities to build organizational, professional credibility and trustworthiness. This is emerged from both of Delphi methods and also being verified in the focus group discussion. The most important capabilities from the participant is to build organizational, professional credibility and trustworthiness. We discussed about this, why you choose these capabilities as the most important thing. And the participants said that that is the key capabilities that we have to reach first before the others. And then we try to find what is the participant think about how to reach these or what is the other capabilities that we support these first capabilities. And we have 3 sub capabilities. Is the first one is to develop and maintain trust amongst stakeholders. to develop and maintain organizational, personal good reputation, and listen and respond to stakeholder needs. Yes, this is the first priority of our the resulted from our research, that if we compare with the global framework, this is also mentioned, but that is top priority. They become the one, two, three, four, fifth uh, uh, level of priority to facilitate relationship and build trust with internal and external stakeholders and communities. That's basically the same or similar with us. It's only different in the level of priority. Thank you. Maybe Prof. can add this question or explain about this more.
Yeah, so the global capability framework, as Parendra said, divided capabilities into communication capabilities. So that's the contribution we as specialists in communication bring to our organization. Then there's the second set of capabilities, which is what do we contribute to our organization broadly? And that's what building reputation features. And then there's a set of professional capabilities. So these are capabilities that all professionals, whether they're accountants or lawyers or public relations professionals, would claim to have because they are professional. So, for example, something that was mentioned, which I think is a tremendous ethical responsibility on us as well, is that we constantly develop ourselves, so we're constantly up to date. So I mentioned before, this is Global Ethics Month, and that's not just about behaving ethically, but it's about being competent to do our job, so that when we're working for organizations, or if we're working in consultancies, or if we're educators, we're making sure that the very latest in practice and theory is being used. So that's where those three groups of capabilities are in the original Global Capability Framework. And the Global Capability Framework is available. I've just put it in the chat, but also in Parendra's presentation, he showed the three sets of capabilities. And if you go onto the Global Alliance website as well, there's an oblong button that says Global Capability Framework, and you can click on there and get them. Just in terms of the order of priority, in the Parendra was very clear about what came out of the discussions in the focus groups in the Delphi study here in Indonesia. In the Global Capability Framework, we deliberately did not put a priority on the capabilities. And this is for a very special reason. The priority may differ depending on where you practice around the world. So we found, for example, in South Africa, ethics really, really high. But we found in other parts of the world, building reputation was very high. The two are linked, of course. You know, if you're ethical, then you're going to build reputation. So it was deliberately created not to be hierarchical, the original one, because what determines the order, the priority order, is the context in which you work, the country in which you work, and sometimes the organization in which you work. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Professor Ed. Well, this most probably related to the next questions. Yeah, it's addressed to, I think, the three speakers here. It's about the global capabilities in Indonesia perspective. Yeah, would you mind to enlighten us what is the most important capabilities in Indonesia perspective in comparison with the other global capabilities? Because we have a different capabilities, of course. And according to you, why those capabilities is so important in Indonesia perspective? Thank you.
Okay. Who will answer first? Pak Boy or Ibu Dr. Nia?
Boleh, Pak Boy boleh,
Go ahead,
Ibu
Pak Rendro.
dokternya juga boleh.
Pemiliknya dulu.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Pak Rendro.
Based on our research, we have only 10 most important capabilities. When we send this list to the FGD participant, we have a variation of priority of the list. And then we said, can we agree the list from the previous stage, which is we have from the Delphi methods? Most of the participant in all group discussion is already agree with that list. So we conclude that these capabilities, all of them is important. We can think that we can conclude that we for example like this ethical framework work in the ethical framework for one participant in the Kalimantan, for example. She said that ethical framework is not really important for our organization or our companies, because what we have to face in the field in our organization in mining company, that they don't understand. They don't understand if we want to explain it with our policy ethically, because what they have to now is the answer, right answer, because it's related to, for example, uh, uh, their friends, faith, their many other people over there have been killed, or for example, like that. So they have to face it differently without ethical uh, framework. On the other hand, ethical is very important for many participants, because it is related also with the reputation of the organization, because the number of our list is mentioned about how to have where is it? Just a moment. Build organizational, personal credibility and trustworthiness. So that many participants think that ethical aspect is very important. It must be in the top 3 capabilities. So it depends on where the situation is happens. Thank you.
Thank you, Pak Rendro. Ibu Nia, probably you have another opinion about this, or Pak Boy. Or I forgot to mention that this question is brought by Miss Sylvia Ronfeld.
Okay, let me just go quickly back to what I presented today. It's basically the capability that the educators, because I'm coming in from the educator side, is that to ensure is the understanding and ability to work within an ethical framework. That needs to be the base. I mean, because we have seen years of for Indonesia, how we have dealt with reporters in handing out envelopes. So we thought that, well, it's because of belas kasihan, a pity that they're not receiving enough pay and all that, but that's not the case. So it is something that maybe it is a quid pro quo, something for something, but we need to do it in a way that is ethical. So that's the basic that I see. So, and of course, other capabilities would be even understanding the context of not even contemporary public relations, even the basic public relations in Indonesia is something that we still need to look into, because some the leadership doesn't even think that PR is essential for the company over marketing, for example. So understanding the context of where each company or each individual or leadership we need to be able to even educate them on that side.
I thought it was really interesting that all of us agreed that ethics was crucially important.
Yeah.
In my own country, the only compulsory course that you have to do every year, if you're a member of the Chartered Institute of Public Relations, is the ethics course. So absolutely underpins everything else. So on that, we're all agreed, I think.
Yes, even like
Yes.
even for Accenture, we have 6 months every day. I mean, every 6 months, we have the refresher for the course of ethics.
So it means it should be on the curriculum, yeah, Ibu Nia?
Yes, it's definitely in Atmajaya's curriculum.
Yeah. Pak Boy, you agree?
Yes, yes. I think I've mentioned that in my presentation as well. Aside from the Astra communication management system, the proposal to adapt the curriculum to have a must-have is include ethics number one. So I think we all are in agreement that ethics is important for us as a PR and communication practitioners, and for those who are going to be future practitioners in the future. And I think in net all the 10 capabilities are very important. These are the top 10 lists. So if you talk about which one is more important, which one is less important, I think these are the top 10. But again, I would agree that ethics is the basis of all of these things.
Okay, thank you. Hopefully it will answer the question of Miss Sylvia. We move. Yes.
So sorry, I'm so sorry. I think I'm still would like to ask further actually about this context. Once again, thank you for giving me all the answer, Prof. N, Pak Rendro, and Ibu Nia and Pak Boy Kelana. But actually, is in the perspective of the Indonesian PR. Actually, I was actually quite touched by the point of Prof. N before was mentioning, but the important capability that the PR has to possess in Indonesia is actually the interpersonal skill. That's one of the important aspect, because Indonesia, like we all know, Pak Boy as well. I'm sure in your field of industry, you also agree, because you are coming from practitioner, that the interpersonal skill is one of the important point that we all have to stressing in the difference between the Indonesian perspective and the global, because we are culturally we are very how do you call it? It's not individualistic. What is the opposite of individualistic? So, but sorry.
Generalize.
Yeah, no. But basically, is we are very like Prof. N before say this face to face is more interpersonal skill. That's more approach that actually the Indonesian way. We have to having a specific capability that the Indonesian let's say difference than the others. Let's say like that.
Indonesian is very collective, ma'am.
Yes, thank you, Alexander Membi Arwan. Yes, that's the opposite. So that's in my opinion, and I agree with Prof. N before it was the interpersonal skill. But I don't know. What do you think, Arendro, about this?
Sorry, can you repeat? I just read writing to answer the Ibu Ida ini. Sorry.
Okay. Okay. Once again,
Please.
in my opinion, is we have to add one more, which is actually the interpersonal skill.
Yeah. Okay. Interpersonal skill is also
considering to our culture, yeah, Pak. I think that's the most important thing.
That is included in one of the 10 capabilities more must have for a PR practitioner. This is the what is the number? Effective numbers capabilities number 7. So I wonder that these capabilities is not included in the global framework. But in Indonesia, this is the practitioner thing about it, that interpersonal and public communication skill must have, and most important aspect from for the PR capabilities. And then, so we try to put answer, gathering the answer and put which one is the from Delphi to FGD. We finally have this list. Maybe the committee can or well, you can also download it as you wish, yeah, in the English and Indonesian version. We already provided the link, and you can see, as you can see, that this interpersonal communication is on the list in the 7 capabilities. Thank you.
So I think there's, I mean, what is fantastic about the Indonesian study and the other studies that will come from the ASEAN region is that we all have slightly different cultures. Yeah. And a lot of the capabilities that have come up through the chat about, for example, ethics and culture and about visual communication, if you look at the global capability framework, they are there as sub-capabilities. But there's so much in common. Interpersonal communication is there as a sub-capability. But it's the beauty of the richness of the world in which we live. In any particular country, one sub-capability becomes really, really important. So interpersonal communication in a collective community, communitarian community like Indonesia, it's wonderful that it's there as a main capability. You know, it doesn't mean that it's not important elsewhere, but in Indonesia, it is so important, it has to be a main capability. Okay. And, you know, communicating across cultures, again, it's a sub-capability within the existing global capability framework. And the whole reason why we need these country studies is for 2 reasons. First of all, you live in your country, in your context, and it's right that you have a capability framework that is unique to you. And as Mia was saying, you know, it's important that that then goes through everything, through education. So it's taught through education system. That Boy was saying that, you know, employers recruit against it, and that as individuals, you take that on board. But it's also right that when you go and work maybe in another country, you're aware of a broader capability framework where it's also important. But it doesn't mean that interpersonal communication isn't important there just because it's not a main capability. It means it is important. But maybe there are other things that are, if you like, more center stage because of that culture there. So in the West, as you know, we have a much more individualistic culture. But it's important that we know that in Indonesia, interpersonal communication is important, and we give it respect and we give it due deference, and that the individual goes to the background more. And the second thing is, you know, when we do another version of the global capability framework, we need to incorporate these perspectives from ASEAN. And this is a balance. You know, so the next global capability framework will be nuanced and influenced by what you're doing in Indonesia and Malaysia and hopefully other ASEAN countries, so that we get a proper, balanced and representative global framework.
All right, so, thank you so much. That's the answer I'm looking for. Thank you, Prof. N.
Okay, thank you, Miss Sylvia, for the questions. Yeah, it's bring the discussions lively. Yeah. Okay, so actually there's a lot of questions here, but since we are running out of time, and I believe Pak Boy is also have urgency to have another meeting after this, so all the questions will be sent to the speakers. Yeah, the distinctive speakers, and then after that will be answered through the email. All right, thank you. And so we already come to the end part of our session. So once again, on behalf of APRN, we would like to say thanks to all the speakers for the informative and interesting talk, and to the audience for the active participation. Hopefully, the presentation will be beneficial for all of us. And thank you for your kind and humble attention. Stay safe, stay healthy, and stay happy to everyone. I'm Sofia Bernadette Tambunan. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. I give it back to our beloved MC, Miss Candy Hernandez.
Thank you so much, Ma'am Detty. Thank you so much to all our speakers, Dr. Nia, Dr. Rendro, of course, and Mr. Paboy. It's a very dynamic and such fruitful discussion that we have this afternoon. We hope this framework can be used as a standard curriculum for educating the future of the profession and fulfill its potential. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that wraps up our ASEAN spot for today, and that concludes the grand launching of the Global Capability Framework in Indonesian perspective. But of course, before I let you all go, please, I would like to request everyone if you could open up your cameras, turn on your cameras as we have our group photos. Please turn on your cameras. May I request our technical team? Maybe let's just do it per slide.
Freestyle.
Okay, everyone. We have one first slide.
Freestyle.
Try to smile. Okay, ready? 1, 2, 3, smile. Okay, next slide, please. 1, 2, 3, smile. Of course, we don't want everyone to miss this, don't want to miss this documentation. We need to put this in our ASEAN PR network publication and social media. Okay, next slide, smile, everyone. 1, 2, 3. And then last, I think we have so many slides. Thank you, Reedy. Thank you so much for joining us. Maybe we'll start to listen also to the theme song of ASEAN. They have a new theme song, ASEAN Unites as One. And also, we would like to promote our upcoming APR and Global Education Training Month this coming April. I hope everyone, you will stay tuned with that. We have so many video and demands. Of course, we have also live webinars upcoming in April. Again, thank you so much, everyone, for this time. Thank you for joining us. And I'm Candy Hernandez, signing off for today's ASEAN Spot. Bye, everyone. Thank you so much. Thank you to all our speakers. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Miss Candy.
Thank you, thank you, sir.
Thank you, parents.
Thank you. Thank you, Pak Boy. Thank you, Bu Nia. Thank you, Miss Devi. Prof. N. Thank you very much. Join us today. Thank you, everyone.
Still holds our hearts tight to keep us fight as one. No harm can defeat us, no pain can frighten us, since we are always one.
Harmony is what we believe in, no one will be left behind. So we can fly as one, blow our love to the sky, since we are always one.
Let's share our spirits to heal the world. Let our consonants speak out loud. Let the light from the east shine through the clouds. ASEAN still unites as one. Let's share our spirits to heal the world. Let our consonants speak out loud. Let the light from the east shine through the clouds. ASEAN still unites as
Itu harusnya B, nggak tahu kenapa jadi J gitu. Nanti
wants to not speak out loud. Let the light begin.